Ladies and gentlemen, stream number 5, question and answer. Let's get us on. Hello. Me, Yosha, and the For Game Dev team. And I have been, as always, starting late. You know us. And I can say it's not even our fault today. It was definitely Restream's fault for throwing our Twitch API connection out, but whatever. As always, we get online at some point. I just want to say hello to everyone. We've got 4 people online today. Me, Yosha, you know me, and Arthur, you know Arthur. Michael, you've seen, I think, on the December stream?
Twice, I think, or once. Yeah, once or twice.
And on today with us, Donna.
Hey!
We finally got some visual representation, which is awesome. We're always talking, we're all geeking out over the code and stuff and mechanics. Finally get somebody on that can speak directly towards the visuals and actually change stuff too without it being a bunch of hoops to jump through. So that's pretty cool. So what are we gonna do today, Joshua?
What changed since last time? I guess we've got some new bars. We've got some new... The vending machines were already in.
Gyms. They're on default.
They are on default?
Yes.
So we're gonna build a gym?
Earlier today.
Woo! No news post for that?
The only thing we're missing is boxes that agents can climb up on top. But other than that, yeah, we've got gyms in.
Holy moly, I missed it.
Just need to find a place for it.
Yeah, I overlooked because of the heading, the images. You gotta get those images, get like a template going down for the...
For which one?
The announcement images. Like, especially with gyms, like, yeah, we should put up a pretty picture. That I totally overlooked the news post. I was looking at the news earlier, and I thought it was the same as yesterday because the images are all identical.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
On that store page. Sweet though. So we're gonna build a gym.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. I'm excited to see that. So that just came out today on default. And for those of you that have never joined us before, we sit here, shoot the shit. We're on Steam, Twitch, YouTube, and that's all of them. And we'll answer your questions. We'll show you whatever you want to see in game. We generally leave here with a big ass list of things we want to add, or requests, or bugs, or just various shit we see. Yeah, speak up. If you got questions or anything, feel free. We're watching on all the different channels. The game's on sale right now for 20% off for the Lunar New Year sale. Today is the Lunar New Year, right?
Yep.
So Happy New Year. And yeah, fire away. And if you haven't left a review yet, now is a good time.
What color should it be? The new gym.
I want to see the. I saw that we got the textures changed to be like the reflectivity is fixed. Is that right, Don? I saw that in the changelog that like we messed with the materials so that
I made some tweaks to it.
It
was I didn't really mess with the materials. I just reduced the glossiness, and it just seemed to mostly fix it. Basically, makes it less like, I guess, faded.
Gotcha. So it's more crystally.
Yeah, because the
That just looks
spec maps were fine. I think it was on the coding side.
Gotcha. Those freaking those columns are still awfully specular.
Yeah, they need fixing individually.
I think one streamer I watched playing the game mentioned because there's an option to change the color paint on the wallpaper. It's not the same color. Say you choose one of the panel ones and then you change the color.
So for that, we'd have to convert all the textures to white and then as a base texture and then allow the player to change it. But then with that, everyone's wallpapers would then reset to basically white.
That's
And then they'd have to manually reapply the colors. It also means multicolor walls. Like you'd only be able to have like one color through each wall.
Mm-hmm.
Really, what I think the best solution.
So like that green
Just
and brown
mods.
one, you'd have to like split it up into different color maps, or mods.
We can also we can add more materials pretty trivially. I just got an email from, so many of the materials come from gametextures.com. They've got quite a few pretty high quality. I actually just got an email from them about them adding a whole bunch more stuff pretty recently. Looking to see.
Do you think in the future for textures we should do it that way, Michael, so that players can have a better option to change the color?
You mean so we start from white and then they add color?
Yeah, so starting from now onwards, we should.
We could do a vert on it. It would just mean, as I say, everyone's maps. Say that black and gold wallpaper you see there, that would revert to white. So then you'd have to go through manually change it back to black. All those tiles would have to be changed. So it's just whether players want it enough that they're willing to.
Honestly,
I'm
against it, to be honest.
Legacy do it there.
Okay.
I'm against it because I'd rather just have mod support and let players put more materials in. I'm looking through gametextures.com right now. They have added a bunch more. We should get some more imported in the game, but there's an awful lot of almost all the nicest looking ones are not single color. They've got. So if the way we would colorize them is we would be tinting it. We could also do some kind of masking or something, but then that's way too much. At that point, mods make more sense. Honestly, I'd rather just let people upload their own materials so that they can, literally go in Photoshop and tint it however they want and pull it in game. I also, part of me is saying that because I know how the floor rendering works, and there's no extra data bits there's no data bits left really to push colors into that in a performant way.
Mm-hmm. Aloe asks if you can do a default. That's true if you allow mods soon.
Mods, in my mind, are one of the... So, pools and mods are some of the top things. There's also some, user experience. I don't know where you're at on it right now, Michael, with the staff stuff. We keep seeing staff brought up in the reviews.
That's nearly done.
Yeah, as being basically a major pain in the
ass. Yeah, staff stuff is coming next week.
So,
I told you it was on the list. It gets a while to get to.
Yeah, well, we all know. I think most of you guys here today probably know how it goes. Even the simplest thing, it takes a minimum of 1 day.
Yeah, schedule has taken about the whole week, and I still need to do some more polish on it.
Gotcha.
Don't forget you can change the colours on it all as well, or at least on the yoga mats. I don't think we got it on the bikes.
No, not the bikes and elliptical machine are just one texture. The yoga mats we can change.
Yeah.
Ella says.
Yeah, Elo, that's not because Arthur wants to social distance. That's because Arthur really wants space.
I demand space. I want to be able to roam.
Meanwhile, I have to stay perfectly still because I'm recording from the bedroom.
Yeah, and he's got just a little circle around him. I think you can catch the edges of his bedroom every now and then. I'm not sure he made the bed today.
Wow, would I? Not going on. That didn't even make sense.
Are there plans to refine the slots and table games for popularity? Waning? Warning? Waning?
Certain
Certain
themes of
themes.
slots.
So different slot games do have different like brand attraction or popularity, and that also affects how much commission they want. So there is that, but we tend not to overdo it, otherwise you can end up with everyone just sort of hoarding one or too little of it happens. But it basically does do that already, and it affects how much they're willing to, like, I guess how, like, what house edge in a way, so it affects the satisfaction.
Yeah, so in my mind, there's like a knowledge here that I feel like we all kind of know the slots need more depth or more. I see this written a lot as the easiest way to get a profitable casino is build a shitload of slots and get the odds set right. And then you can basically just go to sleep and come back to more money. This was a problem in Sim Airport too. And we sort of dealt with it by adding events, but we also, at that point in development of Sim Airport, we had spent frickin' 2 or 3 years getting everything stable and adding multiple floors. We started at a much further back point than we did with SimCasino. I think that's where we need to go, though, is more event-based. And then, yeah, like slots need a lot more depth, in my opinion. I was in a casino 2 weeks ago, maybe. Yes, casinos are open here. I won $600 at craps that day, too, and it was freaking fun. I'd never played craps, maybe once or twice before that. It was quite fun, though. But the thing I noticed is, like slots, there's so many different games, and it's like so strategic the way they're placed. And like, I just saw an article yesterday that one of the casinos here in town just rolled out electronic craps. Like, I think the entire craps table is an LCD screen. And I don't know if you even hold the dice or what. I don't know. In my mind, though,
that would
table
take
games,
the fun out, I think, if you couldn't hold the dice.
Yeah, well, that was like part of the fun of craps is like, honestly, I knew it was a party game. I'd never sat down and played it though, where like I was really actually into it. It's like a hell of a lot of fun, and it's equally as fun when it's somebody else rolling, because you're betting every time they roll. If anything, you got to be quick as hell to get your hands out of the way, or you get yelled at. If you end up touching somebody's dice when they throw it, somebody's gonna be pissed. Anyway, though, I think we need more table game depth, and I think we need more slot game depth. I think that we need more slot games total and more cabinets.
Cabinets?
I think we need more cabinets, and then and more. I'd like to see like 30 more slot games, and probably like 10 more slot cabinets.
Does the gym generate revenue?
Promises to work on all of them.
What's that?
What?
Michael, you go first.
Say that again.
Who, me
I have
or
the promises
Michael?
to work on all of them.
I promised to work on all of them. I figured I'd get a little bit of that today. That's okay. Fair enough.
Someone asked, does the gym generate revenue, or does it attract more customers of a certain type? It's under entertainment,
So you
right?
can change the price of a gym, on the zone, and yeah, it brings in more entertainment guests. But also, if a hotel guest wakes up, you have a random chance of wanting to exercise in the morning.
And they get charged to use it?
I mean, we could add the ability to make it free for hotel rooms, which then boosts up the satisfaction, but at the moment, there's no connection with that, so yeah, they just get charged.
Yeah, there needs to be more depth there too. It should be kind of business centery. Yeah. So here, what most of the hotels do, the same thing for pools too, is if you're not staying at the casino, then to get entry into the pool for the day is usually like $25 a person, something like that. If you're staying at the hotel, it's included, and this is kind of big. They might legislate against this soon, but every casino here charges, so you'll see like $200 a night for this beautiful suite, and you book it for 3 nights, and then there's a $75 a night resort fee that they tack on top, and that quote unquote includes Wi-Fi and telephone service and pool access. But basically it's a big scam to be able to tack on a big fee. But that's generally what you see here, is that basically the room rates being shown are false, and there's an extra $40 to $70 a night tacked on, and that covers that. It also reminds me of Wi-Fi though. Wi-Fi has to be. We gotta get Wi-Fi in here. Especially, I'm on like a networking binge. I have been now for about a year, I guess. You guys have heard me talk about the fiber in my house and shit. But we should get Wi-Fi coverage going. Yeah.
We also need to get air vents doing something as well.
What's that?
The air vents in game, we need them to do something.
The events? Sorry.
Air vents.
Air vents. Yes, I would love to see those on too.
Okay.
So I'll turn you up. I think, honestly, I'd like to see Wi-Fi in before that. I do. We basically had a Wi-Fi-esque system for basically the PA announcements in Sim Airport. Really similar concept though, but to improve hotel rooms and to make guests happier. Why is it lagging?
I'm trying to figure out.
I thought Josh, he's been awful quiet over there. I figured he might be up to something.
Yeah, it's basically only using the CPU, but it's just can't keep up.
I almost bought a 4K streaming card yesterday because it was on sale it's $18 off. So it was normally $250. It was like $237. And then I was like, I'm never the guy streaming. It's always Joshua. So it doesn't do me much good. I can buy it, I can overnight it, and then he's gonna have to pay some big fee when it gets there.
Arthur, did you want to add smoking to the casino?
Yes.
Like animation of people
Yes.
smoking? Okay.
With particle effects.
Okay. I'll look into it.
Are they gonna hold the cigarette?
That's the only hiccup. How did you end up doing the animations for the gym?
I just tried to time them as best as possible, and they still don't quite match up, but it's the closest I could get.
But you're playing them through GPUI?
I think I had to do the machines on CPU. I think we talked about doing it through GPI, but I think I'd have to render the objects as agents, not as objects.
Right. Yeah, but okay, but the agents you're not doing anything special
yeah,
for
they're
those.
still agents,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, good deal. So Donna and I were talking about it yesterday a little bit. Like there's no reason to get them into Umotion. You were able to just bake them direct from her exports from Maya, right?
I think I had to put it into Umotion and export it again.
And it didn't. Well, she says it didn't bork it. So we're doubling this stream. We're doubling up. We're getting a little bit of business done too. David S. need to set min bets for table games, ability to add or delete more decks.
That's on the list.
So that's like a must do. That's the number one thing that, like, when you're walking around trying to decide where to sit down on a Friday night, you're rarely gonna find like a $2 min bet game, or sometimes it's tough to find a $5 min bet game. But some poor guy like me is gonna always only be looking for low min bet games.
By the way,
and then most of the tables are gonna be like $20 a minimum bet.
I found out why it's lagging. But I didn't change anything.
Did you fix it?
We fixed the lag for last time, but this time it's back. And I just checked that the setting didn't change, and it didn't change. The only thing that changed is I'm now playing in 4K.
Oh. So your GPU is struggling.
Not the CPU. The CPU is struggling. The GPU is always at 100% pinned. The issue is that
you're downscaling it in OBS though, yeah?
Yeah.
That may be.
Yeah. Now rendering at 1K at 1080p, and it's perfectly fine. So I'm using the GPU to render SimCasino, and I'm using the CPU to render the scene, which means the OBS has to downscale from 4K to 1080p.
It's doing that 60 times a second on the CPU.
It just can't.
It's a little surprising. I would think that. No, that makes sense. That's quite a bit of data.
Playing on 1080p now, and it appears to be fine.
But still, let's commit to just fixing this problem with a capture card.
Probably better off with a second GPU. Oh, just not using 4K.
Arthur's probably in the new playground he built. Right now?
Oh yeah, by the way, did you finish
in the
your
shed or
playground?
outside? Talking about networking. So no, my playground is not even assembled yet. I had somebody come in to do it that next weekend after the last stream, and I tell my wife, like, don't forget he's gonna be here to put this thing together, and my wife's like, what, on the grass where the surfacing isn't there yet? And I'm like, yeah, but we're just gonna not have it sit in the driveway it's gonna take 2 months to pour concrete and get all the safety surfacing poured or like rubber tiles put down or whatever we're gonna do. And my wife's like, yeah, so we'll wait. I'm like, you wanted this thing here before Christmas. It got here like 3 days after Christmas, and now you're telling me we're gonna wait like 3 months before we build it? I don't know, it's killing me. I show a picture of it to my kids like almost daily. And my kids the other day, they were like, we want a pink playground. I'm like, unfortunately it's green and gray. And they're like the neighbors? I was like, yeah. They're like, we don't want that. I'm like, shit. But yours has a tunnel. And they're like, oh, a tunnel? And they were so pumped.
We have a question in the chat. Scott Smith asks, any way or plans to set slot limits by time, like worker schedule?
Yeah, so I was thinking the same thing when we were just talking about table game limits. And that's the reality, is that's how it is on a Friday and Saturday, all the table game limits are high, like, because it's more packed. And so you always want to have people gambling the most amount of money. The total handle is what you're aiming for, the total amount wagered. You want that to be as high as possible. So on a night where you're packed, if all your low limit games are full, you're going to transform one of them into a higher limit. And like, they'll actually do this while you're sitting there, and they'll grandfather you in so you can keep betting the smaller limit, but they'll double and they do that basically to push out the lower limit players over time so that as people are sitting down, they're only sitting down at a higher wagering. So I think, like, to answer the question, I think the answer is that is exactly how it should work. The hard thing here, though, is that we need to make it, we got to find a better UI UX for scheduling, like in general.
Yeah, well, hopefully next week everyone will find it a lot better.
And they're not going to lose any functionality, though?
Well, it'll actually give you more functionality, because technically the last one you only had one global schedule. Now each object has its own, which is what allows you to actually, say when you schedule a cashier cage, because the vault also used security in the old system, you actually change both schedules at once.
Gotcha.
But now it's all like done less confusing, basically.
Per object, and
also
you can apply all
off.
with like a multi-select.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So if you click on the multi-select tool, you can actually move all those objects in one go. Now that was requested a lot, and that wasn't in the last live stream.
Which tool?
These
But you
bars
can also
weren't either.
dismantle all and empty all machines as well with multi-select.
The bars are sexy. Yeah, so, but to answer your question directly, Scott, Mr. Scott Smith on YouTube, that is the way it needs to be. We need scheduling for limits. So first we need to add minimum bets for the table games, and then once we've added them, we then need to be able to schedule them.
If the only thing you want to do is increase it on the weekends, would it be easier just to add a checkbox which says increase on weekends, or do you want a full scheduling system just for the bets?
That's
Because
a good
it'll
question.
be a lot quicker just to tick a box than it is to go through every machine, even with a multi-select, and say, all right, I want this hour and this hour at this price. Because if you're only going to change it once on a weekend, probably easier just to have like an extra $5 or $20, however much, automatically via tick box.
So the end game goal here is basically to be able to have your weekend. So what they do in real life, I was just reading about Britney Spears before this, but Britney Spears is a great example. The reason they give her a residency and pay her $53 million a year to perform is not because they think she's great. It's not because they know her father's going to steal it anyway. It's because they want to get people into the casino. And so the end goal would be, in my mind, that we're able to have events like that be scheduled, or conventions or stuff like that, where you truly do want to raise the limits at night. And right now, I mean, we already have the same thing as far as open and close. The only difference is, instead of just open and close, it would be the limit as well, right? And I know the open and close comes by staff, but the concept is the same, no?
That reminds me, I've made the UI slightly different for open and close versus like staff, like number of staff for the zone, so that it looks a bit nicer as well. I know this was meant as a nice comment because it's got a smiley face on it, but from Ala it says, I'm excited for a schedule system that works and makes sense. That comes across really sassy.
Halo's always.
I am
just
too.
Quit now. I'm going to quit because of how bad the scheduling was before. Although, funnily enough, I don't think we got complaints on Sim Airport. It's the same, like, literally the same UI in there. But I guess we need it a lot more in this game.
Yeah, in Sim Airport it's just more micromanagement. Most people just don't do it. By the way,
it's totally optional in Sim Airport, yeah. Whereas in SimCasino, it's basically mandatory.
I think that's what was so surprising with seeing all these things about the shows, and I was like, we did this before.
Guys, can we do a quick bug roundup? Can someone note down some stuff?
Yeah, Donna, are you taking notes?
Yeah, I am.
Sweet.
Okay, so
I had a feeling.
I've got a couple I'm seeing around here. So number one is people are using objects in gyms that they shouldn't use. I've got some benches in the gym and they just use the benches without using the actual gym. I've seen that the.
You hear me typing or no? Or is it showing
If you
me
type,
while
It
I'm
doesn't
typing?
matter. You can type all you want.
Okay.
We make video games. Everybody knows that we're gonna type. Don't get embarrassed about typing.
Next one.
The animation on the elliptical and the exercise bike, elliptical machine and exercise bike, they aren't perfectly matched up with the animation of
Yeah.
the stuff. Just note it
Sometimes it
down.
seems to be random.
We're working on it.
Yeah, just note
The
it
thing
down.
is, I tried passing in the frame of the bike animation and the frame of the guest animation, basically get them to sync up perfectly, and Unity's just being awkward. It literally has a method that allows you to pass in which frame number you want to play, and it just doesn't do it, just doesn't update. So what I have to do instead is try and sync them up, basically just by firing them at the same time, and
Well,
then hoping the numbers match up. But then
you're-
sometimes that goes out of sync, sometimes it starts at a random time. I have no
Okay.
idea what goes on.
I can shed some light on what's happening. It's probably has to do with the fact that all of the agent animation is on the GPU. The only thing that's controlling which frame it's on is the start time, start frame, end time, end frame, and then we pass in once per frame. Like that's the only data that gets set once the beginning of the animation. Then
you pass in
only
the
other
time,
data
right?
What's that?
Yeah,
The
if you-
only other data being passed in every frame is the time, exactly. And so what's probably happening is that the time being passed in is not syncing to the time that the object animation is seeing.
so basically,
Follow? So like,
we
if
don't.
it's-
If you say time, just to clarify, we give the GPU or GPU animation stuff the current time or the current frame time from. I think it's saved over saves, right?
it's we dedupe it. Remember, we have to
yeah, right.
subtract seconds since game time started or something. But that's
Anyway, it's just an upticking time and it has nothing to do with the actual start of the animation.
So
exactly.
it doesn't have to do anything with me in terms of, because I have the animation synced up from the object and the character from frame 0 to 200, exactly the same. So if it loops, it would loop the same time.
Yeah, in theory that should work fine, yeah.
Yeah, so what's probably happening is, I think what you've got done is probably exactly right. That's probably what we need. Michael, my guess would be that you need to basically set the frame of the object every frame. Set which frame
I
it
did
should be
try
on.
that. That's what I tried and it just wouldn't have it.
It did work, right? It just, you saw precision issue. Because that would be expected of
No,
precision
that's
issue.
with me just starting them at the same time because I gave up trying to get it to update every frame manually.
Updating every frame manually is probably the only way to make it work right, I would guess. The
Because what I
problem
did
is
was
going
I
to be
got it.
precision.
I got the agent animation to return a normalized time for how far along it was, and then I tried to pass that in to the Unity method, but it just didn't seem to work. I wonder if, because there's no set frame method or set time method, instead it's just play and then you pass in the name of the state. So I'm thinking, yeah, you might have to switch state each time for it to restart the animation on that frame you want it to or something.
There's no set frame? There should be.
No, at least I swear there isn't.
What renders it? What renders it?
It's just a regular game object for the machine.
With the mesh renderer?
Yeah, just regular old.
By the way,
This
while
is
you
turned
think
into
about
a
that,
programming stream.
Okay, yeah, just note that loop me in on this. Let's go over it and look at it. Me and Michael. I'm pretty sure that I can probably talk you through what the culprit is. It's probably something to do with time precision, though. like the GPU is getting sent the time at the, I think in late update, and so it doesn't take hardly any time for the delta between it looking right and not can be like 0.02 because time is going super freaking fast. So like it would take very little to make it look off. It's probably some small thing.
Next point.
Yep.
I've just seen in the multi-select tool. These UI buttons should probably be scaled a little.
Yeah.
Which one should be scaled more?
If you multi-select a bunch of stuff, the UI buttons are all the same size. They are always fixed to. They are not scaling with. If you go closer or further away, they are just the same screen size all the time. They should probably scale depending on how far away
Is that
you
the
are.
same with the assign buttons when you assign a zone to another zone?
I think, yeah, that's also constant size. The issue, the point just is, you don't have 20 zones close by, so it doesn't matter. But you have, for example, if I want to move this whole cafe, you have way too many buttons you can use.
Yeah, I'd almost rather see like on the top left of the screen, like a list of everything.
Problem with that is it's hard to tell what's what, because I did consider that
when you
just won't
highlight,
be able to tell which is it which.
when you highlight over an object that's selected, you can light it up on the top in the list. When you highlight over the list, an object in the list, you can turn it red, turn the box red for the object that it corresponds to.
Yeah, I just worry about getting a bit too tedious if you have a lot of objects you have to go through each one.
But
I mean,
when
I know
are you
that's a
ever-
mess, but that can just be scaled down.
Yeah, but when are you ever like you can unclick on one of these with, you should be able to at least with a control click, right? Or I don't have.
Just normal.
I'd have to check. What's the Donna in Photoshop? What's the deselect? Not deselect. Shrink selection.
Control T, transform.
When you've already got the marquee. So like, let's say you've got a selection and you wanna
Scale
add
it
to
down.
it. You hold Shift, and then when you want to take some out of it, what do you hold? Control.
Alt.
Maybe it's Alt. Yeah, but basically it should be like Photoshop there, where you can add additional objects by holding Shift. You can remove an object by holding Control and click. And I can tell you, like, I can't verbalize what that shortcut is, but it has been the same in Photoshop for the last 15, 18 years.
Okay, Shift and Alt. Okay.
Like, it's truly, I can't even tell you what the key command is, but I use it every time I open Photoshop. It's one of those that's just like, it's a no-brainer to follow that. I do like the idea of putting them in a list too, though, but yeah, I wouldn't even put like the hovers or those assignable style dialogues.
So you just click directly on them or to deselect them.
Yeah.
Well, you could.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually be quite a simple one.
The most simple,
Yeah.
most normal way of how Windows does it too is just have the selection box, and once you select it, you don't deselect the selection box, but you have it again, and then you can press Shift and use the selection box to
Exactly.
or remove some.
Yeah,
And you just highlight the objects.
And
Basically-
typically in Windows there's probably another modifier key for unselect one. There is in Mac too. I think it's the same as whatever it is in Photoshop. I don't know what it is, but I can do it.
I think
I do it
it's
all the time.
Control
I'm gonna be honest,
to
just
select one at a time.
You're on Windows though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could just, if you take a look at this, just open the Explorer and try around a bit, because Photoshop isn't really used by a lot of players, but most
No.
players have on Windows. So
It's the same convention that's used for like every file browser,
Yeah.
basically any multi-select thing you ever see. Almost always Shift is add to existing selection without modifying,
yeah,
and yeah, I think it is Control and maybe Command on Mac, but
I mean we
Command
can just use
Control.
Control for it.
is take one out, whatever you click on out.
Oh, someone's doing yoga.
Yeah, I saw somebody doing push-ups a second ago.
So I forgot the yoga names. One's like a balancing one is a upward dog, and then one's a plank.
Oh no shit.
It's an animation.
Love it.
Downward dog, sorry, not upward.
Downward facing dog.
Yeah.
Upward facing dog. The
By
dog
the way,
looking one direction or the other.
we've got a new question for Payland Slot Channel. Stupid request. None of your requests are stupid. But when I click out of the SimCasino and pull up browsers or something, SimCasino minimizes. Is that a setting or something that east to fix? And I can clearly say that no, that is only west fixable. But we've also considered north or south. It's a hard factor. Back to the question. I don't know, Arthur. Is there some setting which we can add for that? Have you ever looked into
So when
that?
you click out, are you playing in windowed mode then?
No. Well,
How do you
SimCasino
click
is
out?
SimCasino is windowed mode. It is borderless window mode on Windows. So you can the mouse just goes off screen. It's the same in Sim Airport. That's why I at some point added a third edge scrolling option, which is inbounds only. Because
last time I played Sim Airport on Windows, it was full screen maximized with a single monitor. But I'm guessing that you get a different experience with two monitors. Yeah,
No,
Alt Tab.
Well, Arthur, the point is, what you see looks full screen, but it isn't actually exclusive
It's
full
the
screen.
window.
It's
Yeah.
still a window. So if you have two monitors, the issue was in SA long time ago. If you went out of the window to the right monitor, you would still scroll the map. So at some point I added the setting that means, I think we have it in SimCasino too. Camera zoom.
Yeah, I follow. So that
No.
you have to be in the bounds of the game window.
Yeah, in
And
SimCasino it
out.
just does it. In Sim Airport you have the option to select the three.
That's because Michael rewrote the camera movement stuff to be much better.
Yeah. So the issue is if you click out and click on any other window, don't just Alt Tab, but if you click on any other window on a secondary screen, SimCasino is not in front anymore.
I'd have to write it down. I'd have to look.
Who's in charge of rating?
Donna is. You don't have to mute yourself, Donna. You're typing.
Oh, I just don't want to hear
You're
everyone type. I'm like mass typing.
It's fine. Show off.
We
your
need to get
typing
keyboards
skills.
in again.
You've worked.
No, I have a
this hard to
mechanical
get to this
keyboard.
point. You've worked this hard to get to this point. Show off those typing skills.
I can't wait for the next live stream because this live stream we've had obviously negative things about the UI, so that I feel less hurtful, I'm just hurted that the next live stream goes a lot better. Look, new scheduling. Look, new multi-select.
All the new
you
fancy
can't.
UI.
You can't take it like that though, Michael. That's part of what. So I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Somebody asked me, we were like looking through the reviews, and he's like, "Does some of these not make you cry?" And I was like, "When Sim Airport first came out, yeah, like no kidding. Some of them like, I can remember some reviews I replied to where they were like, and these were in comments where there were like 5 pages of comments on a review, and I was like adamantly defending and the way I kind of try to live life, but it's much tougher in like game dev and like you have such visceral feedback, direct feedback on shit that you poured your heart into, but you got to look at it as these are all like, if nobody told you about these things, you'd have no fucking idea, and so they wouldn't ever get fixed. Like, you can't just assume it's all going to be spot on the first, you know what I mean? It's a good thing. I tell my wife this, I drive her nuts, but I'm like, my favorite thing to do is fail, because that's how you learn that's how you learn anything. If you just do everything perfect, life's boring. Like, what are you gonna learn? You're gonna learn nothing. And I'm a weirdo. Like, I have to be learning nonstop. That's what whether it's cutting a tree down, or, which I'm getting better at, by the way, but I've failed at that too. Most of them go the direction I want. I've had a couple that went exactly the opposite direction. And that's how you learn. So this is a great stream. These are all great things to hear. The game isn't perfect. But yeah, that's why we're in early access.
Don't worry, Ella, I'm not actually upset.
No, I know, but I know that
I was talking to Ella because he put another apology.
it takes a toll, though. I see the disappointment in your eyes. Especially when you've got like scheduling, you're working on it, and like that's frustrating. That used to be my least favorite thing in some airport, is people would be like, "Oh, the planes are stuck," and I'd be like, "I am so close on this branch to having them never fucking stuck again. So close."
Oh, we got a bug in, and I looked at the log, and the update was from like November, so we hadn't updated in 3 months. That's annoying.
By the way, we actually got a new case of a stuck plane.
In SimCasino?
No, in Sim Airport.
Not in SimCasino. Thank goodness.
There was still one opportunity for planes to get stuck. Well, besides
Deserialize.
Nope.
The only two I can think of.
Nope. It was
A valid
exploration
path
distance.
existed.
I
It was
thought I
just-
set that to unlimited at one point
Nope.
to fix that.
It wasn't unlimited. It was 25,000 cost or
That
something.
must have been reset or something then, because I'm sure I set that to unlimited to fix that.
I'm sure that the guy's layout probably was suboptimal if it needed 25,000 time steps to get there. That you're talking about like 2 days of taxiing.
It wasn't suboptimal, but it was modded. It was just
he had a massive airport or something.
Yeah, it was a massive airport with a lot of space. So the airport in this case was mostly fancy built, and
I'm not
like-
sure I'm gonna call that a bug.
yeah,
Modded-
it wasn't really an
modded
issue.
it,
If you use mods to make it bigger, we allow it, but stuff like that is to be expected. I hired it a bit so at least that airport works fine, and I think should be fine for ages.
So yeah, until somebody lowers it again, right, Michael?
You don't realise I keep going back every now and then, and I set it lower. I just try and break things for Joshua. That's for leaving me, Joshua. You worked on Sim Airport again, and you shouldn't have.
Yeah, what did you get out for Sim Airport though?
Mostly a couple of fixes. There was a really annoying maintenance bug on Edge, long time now. I got that fixed. A couple of MISC stuff. Some UI improvements. For example, the runway. If you built a runway in Sim Airport and you had like 20 modded planes installed, the list of planes that could take off of a runway was growing way past any screen size.
Yeah.
I also took a look at some simple stuff that was just able to quickly add, just so we have something new. That was being able to assign several remote bus pickups in specific configurations. So usually you will have one bus pickup, or before you had one bus pickup to one gate, and now you can have several bus pickups per gate. They can be set to pick up, drop off, or dual mode. So both mode is just the same. A bus comes from the pickup, drops off the passengers at the plane, and uses the same pickup to get passengers out of the plane and to the terminal. A pickup only is just passengers only get picked up, so you can have 2 pickup only ones, and 2 buses can pick up terminal passengers, bring them to the to the gate, the airplane. And drop-off only is a bit more special. You can have one drop-off only remote bus gate selected for several gates. So you can have a bunch of gates go all to the same drop-off. And you can also build the drop-off due to the split. You can also build the drop-off close to the baggage claim area instead of having one pickup and drop-off all the way at the end of the gate. All the way at the end of the terminal.
So this is totally unrelated, but since we're talking about some airport, Parkitect came out with a multiplayer update.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that?
What came out?
I think it came out a little while ago. Yeah, you can build parks together, I think.
Yeah, Parkitect multiplayer update.
Oh yeah, so
December 8th.
Add it to the list, please. Add it to the list.
Yeah. Well, if they can do it.
Add which one to the list? Sorry.
Multiplayer.
Oh, for Sim? Or
Sim
SimCasino? Okay.
I mean, it's not that hard. You just have
how
to
would
sync
it
everything.
work?
Well, that's actually, I want to. So I know Prison Architect added it. I'm actually a little curious how it works for Parkitect, and I know Parkitect is a Unity game as well. And they've done some magical things with performance. They use a very similar tactic, GPU instancing. I'd be quite curious to see how they implemented the network stuff. Yeah. There were a handful of questions here.
They're all for me.
They are all for you, so I'll let you take them.
Oh, I've just been replying while you guys talk.
I see that now.
So, the textures for the slot machines, I have them on the list from the last stream. They were just backlogged because there are other items that had more priority. But I will get them fixed within the next week. And let's see. Adding mirrors.
It can have mirrors, like for one of the sinks does have a mirror already, but it's not reflective because that'll get too expensive.
Oh yeah, you would have to turn on the reflections, right?
Yeah, but at the moment we do one for each floor, so it's 2 floors, but you'd have to do it for every mirror as well, and that would be a lot. Unless we found a simpler way to do reflections, but I don't think we've got around to that yet.
This is interesting. Scott Smith case study. I start casino with about 60 slots. You see that, Michael?
Yeah.
Can you just copy and paste that entire thing, Donna, onto a list?
Oh yeah. Oh, let me share the Google thing with you guys.
Yeah, that'll just be because the agents are too busy doing other stuff you've added. And because we do have population caps currently, which we haven't removed yet, I'm guessing it can't spawn enough guests to fill both your extra facilities and your slots. It's probably just not spawning enough people. Assuming that's a big casino.
How big are the caps now?
I think they're still from when we first launched because we just never changed them.
It's weird though, because I feel like we see pretty full casinos. If anything, maybe we just have it set too high.
As well as your casino, well, I guess it doesn't apply here if it's the exact same layout if you haven't expanded it, but if it has expanded it, it does just take guests longer to walk about, and as I say, if they're doing other stuff, like if they're busy using the toilet or eating or stuff like that, you don't make as much money per second as you do from a slot machine.
The expectation though would be what he's seeing is the opposite of what the expectation should be. Is that, maybe at any given moment that makes sense, but the conference isn't all day. They should they should basically spend their evenings getting their money taken.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, basically just versus all we're trying to do here is consider real life versus what he's seeing, basically. Is, and that it's logical that the more people you have in your casino, for the most part, the more money you should expect to make outside of luring in, like, people with no money or...
The only thing I
putting
can
up a
think
homeless
of that would
shelter.
actually fix that. Because I agree it needs fixed down coming out more from the practical element, based on
Yeah.
what I know the code is. If they're satisfied with something that boosts the gambling, that's all that I can think about. So if they had a satisfactory meal, so now they want to gamble, or satisfactory meeting, now boost up the gambling. Watched a great show, boost up the gambling, that's all I can think of. In the same way how when they wake up in the morning, they might get a boost of exercise, things like that.
Yeah, the only problem is it's a big knob to turn. If anything, you may end up over... But yeah, that's the right idea. I think that I'd just be careful. That could be easily be an overcorrection.
Yeah.
But yeah, what he's seeing is it should be not at any moment, but in the span of like a 1 day period, you would expect the higher traffic should result in more gaming income. It should not decrease it, at least.
By the way,
Especially, yeah. Okay, and yeah, I follow that what you're saying is it may just be the caps. We need to look at those then, and it could be maybe we're spawning too high a percentage of business customers then. It could just be that the spawns are getting, so if there's an allotment of total spawns we have, it could be too high a percentage of those are coming from...
Well, the percentage is based on how much of each you build. But if there was no cap, then it would always spawn the correct number of each. Obviously, if you have a lot of business people in the morning, then that's going to use up them basically. But of course, if we then make that they get a boost of gambling after a meeting, then that won't be as much of a problem.
Michael,
Yeah,
How
and
does-
we should raise the cap too.
how does the spawner consider who to spawn? So which group to spawn? Does it go into
So the more facilities of a certain type you have, so obviously you've got on
Yeah,
the build
but-
menu, you've got the different color codes that affects
But when it
how much.
actually
And I think
spawns,
I also
does it spawn one group before spawning the next group? Or does it spawn a fixed partial amount, a calculated amount of one group? And then the next, then the
I
next?
think it splits it up because originally it did spawn all in one. I think I changed it so that it goes through each, so one person from each group at a time. I think the only exception to that is business meetings because it has to spawn the group together.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it doesn't go ahead and spawn way too many gamblers and then has no... And then
it'll
maybe
always
5
do one at a
entertainees and
time.
then... Yeah, so the cap shouldn't affect one group specifically. Just all at once.
No.
Yeah.
But if
Okay.
you've got a very popular demand of one, especially because businesses are the first ones to spawn in the day, they might just get in first, basically.
I mean, at the morning that's probably fine.
Well, the problem is then they hang around all day.
By the way, really quick, Donna, could you note down? I'm not. I mean, okay, maybe we should discuss it first. The retail worker on the round drinks bar. I don't know about you guys, but he doesn't really serve anyone.
So the idea is people walk up to them, and if they don't get a seat, they'll just stand there. Probably makes more sense to rotate the bar facing the front.
Why are
can
there
we-
only
They-
seats on half of it?
That's because that's where the people stand to get drinks.
But at most bars I go to, the bartender comes to wherever I'm sitting, and he...
Well, not
Yes,
everyone
they might
sits
be.
down. They might go to a sofa or something. I could put chairs all around, I suppose. It just you'd still have to leave a gap for guests to stand, unless they stand near where the staff bit is. But that might look a bit odd.
They could stand between. So when the bar is packed, and I'm at a casino, the bar is packed, every seat's taken, or I'm with my wife and there's not 2 seats next to each other, then I go up in between 2 seats.
Just
And
because we don't have a lot of precision with
and
the
I wave
movement, you have to
around.
be careful we don't collide.
Yeah, I follow. But
I think that would look better if it was just facing towards the entrance, because right now it looks like he's facing the wrong way. Also, getting staff to walk around would look good as well.
I mean, just
That's
getting him
something
to
to the
move
list.
around the bar. Yeah, getting him to move around the bar and animate other than just standing there. Yeah, no, that doesn't require discussion. That should look a lot better.
You'd probably have to define some walking system. I mean, isn't it?
I don't see why that couldn't be a
Or it can just
an
be
animation
Marcus,
with
can't it?
translation. Just translate
The
it
only
around
trick is
his
getting
area.
him to do the arc around so he doesn't just walk straight through like the
Yeah,
middle of it.
That's what I mean. You have to actually have an arc or something like a circle where he can walk on. It's not about
Seven
the actual
markers,
walking.
yeah.
That is translation. That's easy. It's about where can he walk.
Actually, you need 2 markers, one for center and one for, and you probably may not even need that if it's centered already, and you need a distance or a second one for radius.
Yeah, in this case it's a simple radius, but
We add
What
more
about
than
this
one
case?
bartender in that area.
Can you do that?
I think it's a good suggestion from David in the chat.
Yeah, I
Adding
think-
more than one bartender.
Yeah.
We could allow more than one like in some airport. Currently there's no bonus to that, unless we added some delay system based on the number of people there, but
And
I
that,
don't know, I think sometimes that can hinder the effectiveness of it if you start adding like loads of delays in there.
I don't want to add delay. What I want to see is I want to see that when the guy wants a beer over here, I want to see him not be able to get it until the bartender gets to him. So he should traverse.
Okay, that's a lot trickier to time up then. I was just gonna make him walk around randomly.
No, I want to see it. I want to see it simulated.
I mean, it shouldn't be too heavy. You just need,
No, it's the same as walking randomly. You just need to know which point.
yeah. You
is the
probably have.
nearest.
You probably at that point you probably want to have a defined point, some spline, for where the agent can go along, and
A spline plus pre-calculate nearest point on spline to each marker.
yeah. And then you just add some list of, or you have a request system, and when an agent comes into the bar, wants a beer, he makes a request, and the bar just has a list of agent requests. The agent,
That's
the
basic.
retail worker just works on those.
That's basically how the smart object system works in code anyway. The only thing is there's no allowance in there for we have to make the tasks smarter to DQ or to fulfill them only when the bartender gets there. It's not as major changes it sounds like. I know, I mean, it's work, it's tedious work too, but that's the kind of stuff like I see people. So there was a review I sent to Donna yesterday where they were talking about animation. It was a positive review, but it was talking about animations and basically quirks like that where it's unfinished, and like having that guy just stand there is the definition of yeah. I mean, we're not talking about performance intensive stuff. We're just literally talking about translating them and popping off of a hash set or a queue. It's just gonna take time to set up points and shit.
Do
By the
we
way,
have
Chris-
any other, other gambling video versions, kind of like Keno? Or Paylines asked if there's a video poker game that we have back in the backlog somewhere.
We have models of them, I think. Can anyone remember what's on there? I don't think I'm logged in on my Mac, so I can't check.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said, Michael. Sorry.
I just said I can't log in on here because I don't have my account set up on my Mac, so I can't check what art assets we've got.
Gotcha.
I think we might have a video roulette.
Yeah, there's a. Actually, I thought that was done. I want to say that was done. I have to look. Also, the trash cans have too much speculate.
But they are bling bling cash bins. Mm.
I mean, are they made of diamonds? Like I should have just.
Yes.
I should have just got my wife a trash can, not a ring. It would have saved so much money.
By the way, we've got some viewers on Twitch. Butler over there, Spogger's SimCasino, and love you guys. And to that, I want to say love you all guys too. Community is always awesome. Awesome.
Is there any way to randomize slot games and potentially a high stakes, low stakes option to randomize the play costs? Asking from Twitch.
That's Chris Butler over on Twitch. So we talked about the high stakes, low stakes stuff a little earlier. We know we need to get table limits put in. As far as slots, there isn't a way to randomize them. I've actually seen a third-party tool that you can put your save into, and you click the randomize slots button, and it spits it back out to randomize the games. I suppose it made it be easy to put a random button on the multi-select, so that's a good suggestion. We can add it. So let's add. I mean, it should be trivial, yeah.
Really quickly, just a bug note, or an improvement note. Price satisfaction on the hotel room is noted with 2 decimal places, which means it's less than 100%. While on the hotel room settings, it's noted with no decimal places, which leads to me not being able to find the right price. So I just had to go down from 542 for 99 point something %, even though it was showing 100%. To
Do you need it at exactly 100% there?
That's a good question.
You need it to be exactly that. I should just get rid of a decimal on the other one, and then it'll just say 100% for that.
I can't even put it perfectly to 100%. I cannot. I can't enter decimal places.
I'd remove the decimals. We got the trash cans on there. My diamond ring trash cans.
I think that was added last time, or even the live stream before that.
Uh-oh.
The bling bling trash cans.
Yeah, those should be super easy fixes, like.
Yeah. So we can either change the spec map that I could do the spec map, or Michael can.
Well, considering most of the objects look fine, it's probably the spec map. Otherwise, if you change the code, then it will change everything.
Okay.
So it's definitely the spec map. Any of these that are too shiny, it's 100% the spec map. So literally, you can just edit it.
Yeah.
Push, and it's fixed. Like it's probably. You could probably open it up and just.
I could do it right now in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. But that's part of why. That's part of why it's having you is great, but also why next stream I'm gonna be pissed if we still have diamond.
Next stream is tomorrow.
Endless list.
Next stream is tomorrow, so you got.
I better get on
you're
it.
on notice.
Oh, you know what it's like to have an endless list.
Oh,
yeah,
crazy.
That's Michael.
That's what.
I don't think the list is endless. It's just growing faster than it's going down.
Yeah. That's not infinite.
By the way.
When are we hiring 10 new developers?
Yeah, right?
By the way, Michael. This is an economy room, and I've set the economy price to 210 per night, which it did definitely get. Why is the average satisfaction so different? On the room it says 150%, and on the average it says... I know why, never mind. All of these rooms... Does it set all to... Yeah, it sets all to economy, right?
Sorry, what are you trying to work out?
It just sets every room to economy room by default.
Oh yeah, that's the default.
Yeah, so when I click here, it says 100%, oh never mind, wrong room, 150% price satisfaction. While the hotel room setting goes perfectly 100%, but that's because all of these small miniature rooms are still on economy.
Right.
Gonna pretend like I followed all that.
Room wrong setting. Many room very wrong setting. Makes percentage go down.
Okay, so I'm going to.
So set default to standard?
No, it's same issue. It's just the problem I'm having is only happening because I've got a save from before the room stuff was. If you build new rooms now, you can just build one room, add the group, and then the group is copied. So the confusion on my side is literally just because I've not played SimCasino. It's the save.
Okay, so there's a few more on here on YouTube I got to address. Okay, so Payline Slot Channel. He has plans for video poker on the bars. So what you see is that at the bar, that on the actual bar top is a video poker machine. Right now here in Vegas, the bars are all 25% capacity. So like they're open, but you have to wear your mask. And what happens is that the small bars, like the bar that my wife and I usually go to, they only have 11 tabletop machines. And so that's their capacity. They'll only let you come in if you're going to play on one of the machines because that's how they make all their money. That's the reality though, is every bar top in Vegas, basically if you're allowed to smoke in the place, it's going to have a video poker machine right there on the bar. I'm not sure how we would do that. If we would build it into the bar already. My understanding is that the way the bars here do it, and I may be wrong, but I was talking to a guy about this a few years back. I want to say that the way it works is that a different company owns the video poker machines, and they're leased. No, I think that company pays the bar something like $14 an hour, 24/7, and then the company that owns the machines gets to keep the money that is made. The bar just literally has to stay open, and they get paid this money per hour. It's also interesting. It happens like very frequently. People knock their drink over onto these bar top machines because it's literally on the surface of the bar. And within 25 minutes, there'll be a technician there, and they'll swap the entire machine out and be gone in like 40 minutes because they're making $11 an hour off the machine. It's like they want the machine running non-stop so they can make money off it. I'm not sure if like how we would do an object like that. It'd be nice if you could just put so yeah, I would just write down Donna like video poker on bar tops.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay.
Maybe as upgrade.
Yeah, it's almost like, so we had countertop placeable objects for a while in some airport. Actually, I'm not even sure for a while. I don't think they ever made it to release. I think we pulled them out before that. You end up with all kinds of issues though about like sell and.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying just have a fixed upgrade and.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
And go to the object that's possible on and just up. It just applies the fixed up.
When you said about the cell, it reminded me since the last update, I made it so that multiple wall objects can go in the same cell. So if you want corner windows, or you want a sign on a window, or a sign above the door, you can do all that now.
So we can do that with objects too. The upgrade. So the upgrade object thing is a hack.
Yeah, that's a different thing. I just mean with wall objects, you can have a sign above a picture and a wall lamp. You can technically put it inside the picture. We didn't do any limits in case players come up with good combinations.
That's the problem. If like you could allow the same thing for placeables, but you run into tricky situations where it's like, is this a zone splitting? You've got one zone splitting object and one zone enclosing object, or the combinatorics are shitty. I don't know how we'd do it, but it makes sense to do. But yeah, it may just be some of these things are tough.
Full length windows as well.
Yeah, new windows really fancy.
Those are sexy. Yeah.
Someone made a post on Reddit with a huge casino just made of windows, and it looks awesome. By the way, Michael, just a quick one, and for Donna to write down. I think the window and the wall are fighting on, well, not exactly Z, but on the top, the meshes are fighting over the index.
Yeah, the Z's. Yeah, okay. So
Probably want to.
for that one, I would have to scale the window down a bit.
Yeah, just minimal. Like,
Actually,
0.5%.
we might need to remove the top, bit that gets rendered. I think that'll be easy and look better if just to remove the top bit of the wall.
You mean to not render it at all at this point?
Yeah, so just render the window there, because it should be 0 in the config, so we can just skip that top bit. I'm actually surprised it's rendering anything at all there.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. If the window is full size, there is no wall.
It's because the top cap is rendered as a separate quad, right?
Yeah, I think ages ago when I tried to get faster walls working, I looked into stuff like that, so I think I know where to remove it.
There is nothing being rendered there, not on the sides, only on the top. But that's because the top is a single quad going from the far left to the far right. So you can't remove it there. It's not.
No, I'm sure it's per wall.
Nah. One top cap per segment.
Yeah, but the windows
I think the segments are split up.
I'm not sure. My guess though is that it's a wall object.
Because when I was trying to get walls rendering on GPUIs, that's what I saw, was each one was a different segment.
That might have been a while back. I mean, I know, for instance, each contiguous wall you're seeing is one quad on the front and on the back, and then the top cap is the same thing, a contiguous segment, just has the UVs edited in. It's not per cell.
It's per segment.
It's per segment, right?
Yeah.
That way you've only got. Otherwise, you'd be having one quad per. You'd have 5 quads per cell, when you really can render the entire segment with 5 quads.
I'm pretty sure still. Sorry, Donna, just really quick. I'm pretty sure from the RVO stuff, where I had to actually look at this stuff, I'm pretty sure that this segment, for example, is actually still 1 per cell. There's no segmentation at all. There's a key wall, so maybe this is 1 segment, but on the right side the door is 1, then the one cell is 1, the window is 1, the next window is 1, and the last cell is also just 1.
I'm going to disagree. But
whenever there's a wall object, it always splits the segment. That's why the wallpaper doesn't continue, and that's why we can't fix it.
It does. Any wall object splits it?
Yeah, it makes a new segment.
New segment, okay, so you can render no top cap there. The easier fix in my opinion is to edit the window, but yeah.
Nah, because then you end up with a little mini wall at the top, and that'll look odd if you shrink it, unless you leave a gap, and then that'll look worse.
Yeah, no matter what, you can end up with some kind of. Yeah, you're right. I follow. Okay, couple other.
Oh no, was you gonna say something?
Oh yeah, someone asked, they asked if we could add curtains onto the window. If we do that, would the curtain be a separate object, or would it be combined with the window object If
So
we
now
were
that
to
we've
add
got
curtains.
multiple objects working on the same cell, so like Joshua can show off adding maybe a sign or a picture onto an existing window, curtains will just work the same.
Okay.
It's just a case of getting around to making the models for them.
Okay.
What a great view into the hotels.
That's pretty sweet.
Would it work for paintings too on the inside of the room?
Yes. I think Mike and I wrote a little bit about this. And I don't know
Okay, so that would
what
work
conclusion
for-
Michael got to, but at some point I said maybe we shouldn't do too many restrictions and just let the user decide what looks great.
Yeah,
and
because I
what-
sent in a picture of the sign literally blocking a door, and we was just like, well, how else do we validate it?
Against doors.
Yeah, but then you couldn't build a sign above the door unless you start doing collisions or something. So you have a door and you want the sign to go just above it.
The point is,
A different. Moving on though is somebody asked. Somebody said my voice is tough to hear. Sorry, I'm just talking. But somebody else asked about laying on beds, if we're gonna improve that. And I just saw the guy looked like he was, I don't know, in some kind of strange state while he was sleeping there.
Yeah, that's on the list.
Okay. And somebody else said
One
something about
sec.
being under the covers and multiple people. I think we have multiple people on a different ticket. And under covers, I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. I do want to see a dirty sheets and a clean sheets like so badly though.
Yeah, we have it. We just need to implement it.
by the way, I just posted an image on Slack for this bug. There's shadows going down to one floor below where people are sitting.
What the fuck is that?
Also, Michael, you need to rotate a little to the left. That looks better.
Okay, yeah. Just throw it on the dock. I'm not sure how
Yeah.
that's happening.
It's on.
Think the floor would have to render its own shadow. Because there's no roof there, and I think the roof normally renders the shadow.
Oh, also, by the way, if you lower the walls, the texture gets squished.
Yeah.
You have to adjust.
I don't
the
know if we have a
UV.
good fix for that.
Should just be a UV.
You'd have to manually go around and set all the UVs, but
There's no
I don't know if
good
that
fix.
might lead to other things.
Yeah.
Oh, which one?
I kind of like the squashed effect because you're literally squashing the walls down.
Yeah, I think that could be permanent. I think it's
Feature.
feature, not a bug. We're in the business of those. All about features, no bugs here.
But bad scheduling is a feature because it forces you to think more, and it's a challenge.
Okay, Payline slot channel. I actually agree with this. The slot system should be simple as setting a payout percentage. Game theme should determine the jackpot amount based on the denomination. There's a little bit of nuance there in real life, but yes, I actually agree.
So we should make it more simple.
Yeah, it really. Two of the variables that right now are being user set should be coming from the denomination, a factor of the denomination and the game. So like some games don't have jackpots really. Some games are like they do, but they're not like massive amounts. Basically though, for the most part, the casino really is only setting payout percent. And there's like legal limits on where they're setting it. The game and the denomination are going to really determine what the wins look like. Basically what the volatility is. It's still like the variables we have there are still all right. It's just where they come from 2 of them probably should not be user set.
Another issue.
Man, I'm still like scrolled up in this chat.
If I remove
Go.
Michael and Donna, Michael, so you know, and Donna to down, please. If I remove flooring and objects, and I remove flooring outside in front of windows, it just removes one window. Also doesn't reset the selection.
That's weird. That must be a no ref. That's all I can think of. A no ref just causes it to exit early.
Yeah, looks like it.
It removes only one window, not both.
Yes, basically just put down it as a no ref in it, and I'll know what that means.
Okay.
You can send
Thank
over
you.
the log later after the stream.
On the list.
Yeah, it's on. I linked the Google Docs into our Slack, so you guys can.
That's going to be one of the t-shirts on the list.
Okay, I'm gonna roll through. Speaking of t-shirts, actually, damn it, I am so not focused ever. Also, the casino looks sick. Like, let's get a screenshot of this up on store page, huh?
Oh
It is
yeah.
so sexy.
Send me
looking.
the.
Well, I want to do an updated trailer in a few weeks. Probably after the tutorials and pulls, that'll be the perfect time to try and get some new players in.
Man,
And
this
then
list just
trailer,
grows.
screenshots, put them all together.
When are you gonna have time for a trailer with all these? I mean, the next question is how far away.
But
is
Arthur, I
Yes.
thought you volunteered to do it all.
Yeah, yeah.
You said, Michael, you deserve it, take all the next year off. I'm going to do it all. You work on the trailer.
You
And
just
you're
work
so
on the
great
trailer.
at UI.
We'll talk again in August. Seriously though, let's see it. Take some screenshots, put it on the store page. It does. It's sexy.
Yeah, send me Joshua. Send me the test file when you're done streaming.
You mean the
we-
save
we
file?
used to
Screenshots and make-
publish. We
Oh,
used
sorry,
to publish
save
them
file.
too.
Well, we used to publish on Sim Airport, but we don't have workshop support
Yeah.
yet. Should probably start
Okay.
doing that soon.
JPDFW on Steam said he's a newbie to the game, and he has to say it has been fun so far. We are thrilled to hear it. It is very gratifying to hear when people enjoy the game. There's nothing better than like seeing how many hours people play at the game, and it's like freaking great. We appreciate it. Glad you're having fun. There's definitely more coming. For anybody else on Steam, if you have questions for us, feel free. We're streaming on Twitch, YouTube, and Steam. Ask away. We'll answer anything you got. And if you haven't bought the game, it's a great time. 20% off. Aloe on YouTube. How far away is multiple guest groups? Far. David S. Would be great to multi-select all those rooms and change it once. Yeah, I was wondering about that too.
Oh, that was a while ago.
Well,
Yeah.
for the multi-select rooms, to be honest, now that the cloning zones work, because the settings will just copy it, only because Josh is on an old save before
that's-
it has
that's
to come up
exactly
with
what
a
I
default
meant.
bit.
It just doesn't.
But it should just work with the cloning.
If you make a new room, hotel room
But-
now, you set up this group for that one room, and then you copy that one room 100 times. All 100 rooms are set up perfectly.
But can you multi-select to add them to the group?
Not yet, but it can get added to the list.
Yeah, I think that's what he's saying. So we just watched Joshua setting room prices, and I think that's what.
Yeah, but
that was like
I'm-
20 minutes ago.
yeah, but it doesn't make sense. How many times am I gonna set room groups again?
Why should it be hard the one time you have to do it?
Because next time he does it, it would just clone one.
But what if I designed each room? So let's say I'm making the palms, where every room is totally unique, and I want to group 3 of them.
Why would they all be in the same group? If
Well,
they're
I wanna
totally
group
unique.
3 of them together, and I want to group 7 of them together, and for whatever reason, I just like to organize things, or they're of comparable price, even though they're totally unique rooms. Basically, I'm not using clone tool. Why can't I multi-select them?
Oh, this is a good one. On Steam, JP says one thing I would love to be able to do is to set slots of value when placing, rather than selecting and applying the game and then changing the option. Similar
that could be doable.
Yeah, similar to how we can change the color of walls.
Basically, just
Yeah,
I think the UI is just already separated mostly.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because like that's the same holdup for like the clone tool. That's what the clone tool needed to be able to do is copy. It's that same thing as being able to basically set the defaults for what you're about to click down. It makes sense. Yeah. It's on the list. And JP DFW says too many hours already. Well, that's not a bad thing. That's a very good thing. We're happy to hear it.
By the way, Arthur, when do we get merch? Especially it's on the list shirt.
When do we what?
When do we get merch?
Oh, yeah. So I was thinking about this morning. Actually, when I went upstairs to change before the stream, I was like, God damn it. Again, I find myself like, I want to put on a logoed sweatshirt or like a shirt.
So my catchphrase would be it's on the list. What's everyone else's catchphrase?
I'll have it done tomorrow.
I don't know what mine is.
Mine's just Just both.
Others might have to be something to do with shiny bins, although we can't blame her for that because I think that was after P.
Yeah, but they're still shiny. If they're shiny next stream, that's definitely gonna be.
It's diamond bins.
Okay, so this is way back. Aloe asked, you get free drinks if you use the bar. Yes, that's exactly how it is. They have a set amount per handle that they can comp you. So like based on how much money you put into the machine, even if you're winning, that's how much they'll comp you. But yeah, most of the people, that's why like the bar what my wife and I go to, we always sit at a table, but they're not open right now for tables only at the bar. But the bartenders never charge these people anything. They don't get charged for drinks, they don't get charged for their food. Instead, they just gamble $400 or $500 down the drain, and in exchange they get 10 or 15 beers and a meal. Okay, so Payline slot channel, you go to Vegas every month. Next time you're coming to Vegas, shoot us an email and I'll buy you a beer at a casino. I'm trying to get, as soon as we all get vaccinated, I want to get everybody together and have drinks with everybody in person. I was hoping we'd do it as soon as we launched the game, and then the world got caught off guard. This is Josh's save.
Oh yeah, by the way, I
Okay.
will not only send it to Donna, I will just upload it in Discord so everyone can download it. Take a look.
Okay.
So Donna, you can just I will put it in the announcement channel.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, Alice said the hotel I run has all different rooms, but we have 3 room types for selling. Exactly. That's exactly what I was saying. That's why you need multi-site. It's not like, so they're not cloned rooms. It's just you need to set up the groups, and why make it hard to purchase?
So for merch, would you rather have a t-shirt, a sweater,
I want a
a
sweatshirt.
long sleeve?
I want a sweatshirt and a t-shirt.
Sweatshirt, t-shirt, okay.
But so I'm particular about my sweatshirts. It needs to be, my favorite sweatshirts are the ones that the NFL's provider puts out. They're nice and soft inside. Doesn't have to be super thick. Super soft though, soft outside, and the strings, the pull strings, should be square at the bottom. Yeah. I can show you what I mean, but
I'll look it up.
They should be hemmed squares at the bottom, and they should be square all the way down. Cosmo, February 20th. Shoot me an email, arthur@lvgamedev.com. And yeah, I'll come down there one night and have a beer with you.
Or you just send it over to the normal email and put in big fat words that you want to meet Arthur. I usually read all the mails and get it forwarded to the right person.
The SimCasino shirt, Sim Airport shirt. You say back of LV Game Dev shirt. So you would want the LV Game Dev logo on the back of the shirt?
I would think the SimCasino in the front, and then on the back it would say add it to the list.
I freaking like that. Yeah, hoodie and a t-shirt. So yeah, so the problem, I looked at this for Sim Airport a long time ago. Like, I actually went to a shop here locally, and they showed me their products, and that was the only problem, is to get like the kind of hoodie that I like. It was like $45 for just the freaking hoodie, and then you're gonna pay like another $8 each to print or something. So they end up being, they're kind of yeah, they're not cheap. But yes, so Donna, you think you could head up that effort, get us merchandise?
Sure, you just have to let me know what vendor you want to use.
I don't know. You gotta.
Okay.
I just wanted to see the sweatshirt before it's ordered.
Sure.
And
I think Arthur has as much experience in selling merchandise as we have with streaming. It's gonna happen at some point, but holy hell, we have to find out how it works first.
But what color shirts though? Like just logo, text white on black sweater, or you want like multiple colors?
Anyone have any particular colors in the chat or any styles?
Yeah, like we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do it like in the next
within the month,
week
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I would honestly. I'd like to have. I was thinking about this just before the stream. Like, I'm so annoyed that we don't. We're talking about like we should order $500 worth of merchandise easily. Hell, I'm fine with spending a couple $100 on the shit that I want. Like I also haven't bought clothes for myself in about 5 years, so I've been saving up. Yeah, anybody in the chat, what you want to see?
Okay.
I'm a big fan of gray myself.
By the way,
a light gray or a dark gray?
I like both. I like heather gray.
Could we get the clone tool to work outside?
Black.
So when you did the clone tool, was it because you was worried about merging inside and outside together, or was it a different reason why it doesn't work outside? Because if it's a simple check if it matches inside outside, it might just work.
I'm thinking it's because it doesn't. You can end up with floating. If that's not an issue, then it's okay. You can end up with indoor area that has 0 walls. You follow?
Kind of.
You're right. That's all you would need to do. You could check if indoors on the copy is the same as indoors on the paste cell, then you can allow it. And that would work.
So
the issue was that
if everything is outside, it would your paste outside.
Exactly. Or if it's the exact same mixture already. The problem is basically that Right now, if you just allowed it, it'll make it indoors, even though it's floating and like it'll have a roof over it, but there will be no walls. If you just straight allowed it without validating. But yeah, it would be an easy fix. Also, the solar panels should be draggable. Like, what the heck?
I thought there was at one point. I think it's literally just a tick box to enable it.
I think you disabled it because it was their dimension or something doesn't work with the drag system or something. I
Well, I know other objects that work like that, but
I enabled it before we released. I was so annoyed. I placed a bunch and then I exited play mode, enabled it, came back in, and the problem was it was leaving a gap. It's almost like the model was slightly too big or something. I don't know.
So what's going on there, Josh? They're like having trouble picking up that bag of money on the floor.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of those. I've already made a save for it, but it's just growing. I thought this one was fixed. Not quite sure.
You're playing on default?
Yeah.
Or they're identical today. Yeah, that is definitely doable.
Michael?
Is it possible their walk path is?
No, it's some issue with
blocked?
Okay. Didn't we have an issue for
yeah, I
this
have
one?
no idea really. I'd have to look at the debug to really get any information on what's going on.
Yeah, I'll post a save later.
You're gonna submit it as a bug report and put a really long description and put loads of nasty comments in it.
I mean, you know what I want to see is, if there's a money bag laying there on the floor, I'm telling you, everybody should be scrambling. There should be gunshots. I mean,
walk out of the casino with a whole bag.
Yeah, well, so this happens in real life. You see it on the news here. The locals casino, it is almost always by a door, but somebody will snatch a purse and take off running, and then you'll see the security footage, and the guy gets turned in a few days, almost always. But every now and then you actually see robberies where there was one famous robbery of the poker room at Bellagio. Guy went in, I think he pulled a gun, he took all the $25,000 chips, they're called raspberries, and he then needed to figure out how to launder them. Well, Bellagio put out a notice saying, if you have any of these chips, cash them in the next 30 days because we're going to change these chips to a different color because this guy's just stole several $1 million worth of these chips. The guy was brilliant. He went online to the most popular poker forum called 2+2, and he started PMing people, seeing if he could sell them his raspberry chips for 10 grand a piece. And one of the people he tried to sell it to was an FBI agent.
Oh.
But he was DMing everybody on the forum that was in Vegas trying to sell these $25,000. Somebody says, I'll sell you $25,000 for 10. Probably too good to be true.
We have a question on Twitch. How exactly does the vault collection work? It seems to just sometimes put my into the bank.
Money into the
and
bank.
Sometimes, sorry, it's missing a word in the text.
Michael,
Game
this one's
mechanics, go.
right
I mean-
up your alley.
It should just work. I don't really know what to say. Just any spare cash revenue machine goes in the vault. If it's auto collected, it'll just keep emptying itself. So that's why you might not see much cash in there. I believe at one point I made it based on how much cash is in the vault currently. Then that created problems. I then set it back to it takes into account the cash all over your casino floor. But then that has the problem of starving your vault if there's loads of cash on the floor, but it fixes other bugs. So it just depends on how much cash is around your casino.
Can you go back to that screen? Does it break it down? I saw the numbers change in live, meaning it is showing you what's on the floor.
Yeah.
We talked about this in the last stream too, is basically what I think we need, and let me see. Okay. Honestly, this screen explains it really well. This screen is much better than it was.
Yay, some good UI feedback.
Yeah, although I'm surprised he found it. It was quite the nav. I'm joking. Yeah, the screen is fantastic. Honestly, that's the screen I would go look at because it really makes it clear what the hell's going on.
I probably should put that the first screen
Yeah, that's my
for
thought
finances.
too. Because most of this, the P&L isn't all that useful on a daily. Like it's not a.
It
screen
was
you look
more
at
in some
live.
airport, but because half your
Right.
cash doesn't get counted till the end of the day, it's not as useful.
Exactly. Like it's something you want to look at for historical performance, but when most of what you're trying to do in a casino is cash flow management, and that's really what we want to push the game towards is the cash flow management side. Also, risk management, like thief risk, that side of things too. So, yeah, I totally agree. Just move that screen to the front. Hopefully that kind of answered your question too. More low directs on Twitch. So yeah, can we also write that, like, seriously, cashback sitting on the floor? Like I would like to see some effort to, I don't know, maybe I'm morally corrupt, but if I see a bag of cash laying on the floor, like, and even if there's a staff member standing over it, if he looks like he's out of it, I'm probably gonna go, like, see what he does if I touch it. Or something.
Should increase the chance based on how drunk they are.
There you go. Yeah, like, truly though, I would love to see that. I mean, it makes sense. We have mechanic for thief and vault. Might as well have mechanic for thief with a money bag that's laying there unguarded, right?
Not yet. I think they just walk to the cash vault zone.
Yeah, but
I can add it to
let's
bags,
add it.
yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, that probably makes more sense to target an actual bag than the zone anyway.
Cool. Probably wrap up. I know Michael's getting hungry over there. I sense it in his user interface feedback.
You know, I sent that
receptors.
message privately to come across professional. I'm loving this. I'm not starving at all.
No, I think we've been about 2 hours. That's typically about what we do.
We're at,
Made a list that's 4 pages long.
yeah, we're at 150 now, so pretty close to 2 hours. I just wanted to say
Yeah.
2 or 3 other smaller things we added. Changed the speed setting since last time. Michael, 2 times is about the old 3 time?
Yeah, so I think you tried saying it a bit higher, but we had some problems. I settled on double the original, so instead of sans 9, it's now sans 18.
Yeah, and 3 times, if you guys can see it, it's really, really fast now.
And the default speed is,
I think about 20% higher than before, so not much higher.
gotcha. It looks better. I mean,
3
just like-
times?
Because I remember at first we were discussing about having sans slower than some airport, but now that we've had time to play it and have a lot of players played it, we've realised that it needs to be about, like, much faster.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough thing to do. Like, it's the epitome of the scale problem because movement between 2 places is always going to be, like, it's tough to get scale right, especially when you're talking about speed of action. And there's only so much you can do per frame. So it's like, at some point, they go so fast that they're, like, going between floors using the stairs in, like, 4 frames. It looks good to me, though. It looks more natural. It was slow before. It looked slow on 1X.
When you mention changing floors, Joshua, what's the latest on elevator balancing?
They're mostly balanced. It's mostly just the performance. I still haven't gotten the performance improvement in that I discussed with Arthur. I just ran into an issue on those and on that one, and I just couldn't continue. So I took care of some issues in that stuff.
There's a performance. It's just a boon that'll make it much more performant.
Though I also
that was why we approached it though from the let's fix it first perspective. Yeah. Are they not? Yeah, I was under the impression though that we talked through what should be damn near optimal balancing of floor portals, escalators, stairs, and elevators.
So I tested on a bunch of saves and had pretty good results, but some people are still saying they have some saves where it doesn't look right.
Send those in.
Yeah.
Or make a post with the references, so we can take a look. I was under the impression that what we came up with should be optimal.
Like if you could take a look at the escalator and the stairs over here, they are both pretty well used.
Yeah.
And I tested some user saves a little bit bigger, and they also had some shared usage. I always allow some bunching up because yes, the elevator has a good amount of capacity, but it shouldn't ever bunch up too.
It's impossible to get it exactly optimal without doing a cooperative A-star aircraft pathfinding style thing.
And that's just too expensive.
Yeah, that made me smile because it brought back some airport memories.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like that's the only way to make it exactly right. It should, in most cases, like balance itself out though. Like I can see how it'll be off, like when you first load a map or something like that, for maybe the first few minutes, while everything's like everybody pass at once and all that shit. But I would generally expect, unless the map is huge or something, that it would stay really balanced. The map being huge I guess you could potentially factor in like a distance. I don't know. I'd have to see some of the maps where the balancing is bad.
Yeah. The second.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The second thing I just wanted to talk about is our translations. I did some UI work on the language. The language settings now has a new UI. I think, Arthur, you haven't seen this one. The issue with the old one was that languages were shown with the currently selected language font, but stuff like the dash language just doesn't have. Our usual English font doesn't have the characters for it. So this now correctly shows all the languages. And as you can see,
how much
there
VRAM does that cost? How much VRAM does that cost? I bet it's quite expensive.
Not too much. In most cases, I think the font is. I'd have to check. It shouldn't be too much.
Well, the atlases they're not compressed, so they're actually quite big. And are you using fallback font thing? Or are you actually loading all of them?
No, they are definitely loaded.
Okay. So TextMesh Pro has something called fallback font system, where it'll only conditionally load those when it needs to if they're in for the fallbacks. I think it'll even unload them. It's worth taking a look at, but sometimes I know we've seen this off and on for a long time, but people reporting fonts blank or like screwed up. We've always suspected it's a VRAM or like some kind of GPU issue. I would guess it is a VRAM thing, and possibly something to do with the SDF shader, the sign distance format. But yeah, it'd be worth taking a look to see if you're using the fallback thing. I know it's the more optimal.
So yeah, it could be optimized, but that's not what I wanted to talk about mainly. What I wanted to talk about is translation. You can see there's a bunch of languages already really well translated, well, 100%, but that's a reference language, so German, for example, 98, French, 90, Netherlands, Dutch language, 9. To be fair, some of that is true translated.
They're calculated correctly, because on the website it says much lower.
It depends on what you export. I think you've exported with including Google translated keys. So it looks a bit higher. The point is, if you guys know any of these languages and can understand us currently, as in you speak English and one of those languages, be sure to head over to our localizer, and just go through the languages and translate a little bit. Can not only help out us, but your fellow, whatever language you translate speakers.
Yeah, and we end up with much better. So we used to pay like $2,000 to $4,000 a language to translate, and we tried a couple different companies, and the feedback's always that the translation sucks, and it's like we don't know the language, so we can't audit it. But yeah, like that's the alternative, is we pay a bunch of money, which costs us dev time, and we end up with shitty translations. So we really appreciate, we end up with super high quality translations when you guys go out and help us with them. So thank you to those of you who have as well. Cool. Let's wrap it up. Pretty good stream. I love the casino we've got going. I do want to post it, and I'd like to get a copy and get some screenshots.
Could you put a theatre sign where there's glass windows out of the door? I think that would look quite nice.
I will do real quick, mate.
Question for before we end this.
Oh no.
So for transactions, I know that they show up at the top every time money is spent or earned. Is in the UI, for viewers and players, would they want to have a list of all those transactions, like day-to-day period of what they
That's in profit and loss.
Yeah, well,
not the line item. We don't keep the line items around.
Okay.
Because it's a data storage problem. We tally them up.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's what you mean, right?
Yeah. So there's no like we don't know the transaction log. We only know it at the time, and then we recycle that.
Okay, I see.
That memory, and we just tally it up. It's even the way we do it now, tallying it up, it actually uses a lot more memory than you would expect, like, because you've got all these categories, you've got all these days, and it's a weird problem. I always thought it was a stupid problem, but you start looking at how much space it takes up to like log all that shit, and then you end up with these massive save files. When we first launched Sim Airport, we kept data forever, and I remember Robbie, the other developer on the project, he's like, that's not going to work. I'm like, why not? We're talking about like text. And he's like, dude, they're after like somebody plays for 100 days, like how big is that? And he was right. It was like 400 megs of transaction.
I'd best check if we're having a limit on these logs. It might work for cache from Sim Airport, but I don't know if it works for the rest. It might be keeping the rest forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to open up my game to take a look. But I see you can open the little arrow tab to see all your transactions for the day. Okay.
Lovely. Cool. Any more questions, anyone?
Everyone's Michael deserves 3 months off.
3 months off? Oh man. I don't know. Are you gonna be around tomorrow?
Tomorrow?
Are you gonna be around? Is it just me and you, Joshua?
Well, the plan is just us two, but if Michael wants to come on, for sure.
It's for you two to bond.
Yeah, we're gonna fly around. I've got my simulator all set up. I got my panels working, and did nine
I got the fancy
pattern work with 9 landings last night, and
I'll probably be with Reese if he comes on tomorrow.
Cool.
Arthur got all the fancy stuff. Look at my lovely joystick.
That's what you use?
Hmm?
And he's telling me how to fly A380s. Alright guys, thank you everybody for coming. As always, we appreciate it. We enjoy this. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm gonna be drinking German beer and flying airplanes. But yeah, we'll be talking some casino, some airport life, what have you. So join us if you're around. If you're watching on Steam and you don't own the game yet, now is a really good time to buy it, 20% off. If you haven't left a review yet, now is also a great time to do that. Preferably a positive one. But we'll take whatever we can get. Other than that, yeah, everybody, I hope you have a happy Lunar New Year. And what else we got?
Oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
If anyone has any confusing topics, make sure to message like on Discord or the forums or whatever, because I'll be working on the tutorial. Probably not early next week, so I'll be finishing scheduling, but sometime after that. And after I've finished the list. In fact, nobody sleeps until the list is finished.
Nobody. Yeah, it's time for sleep. It's Friday at 1.
Time for sleep? I just got up.
Yeah, Josh, I used the opposite. You're like me,
I'm basically on the West Coast by now.
pretty much.
Like Pacific Coast.
Yeah, I think I've been going to bed earlier than he has though lately. Like, it was like midnight the other night, and it's like 6 a.m. there, and you were like, "I'm gonna fly one more." All right.
You at 5 a.m. Best time for workout. Quick shower afterwards, and then 6 a.m. in bed.
After a full day. Best time for working out never.
Anyway, let's wrap it up.
All right. Yeah.
Thanks to all for coming out, and we hope to see you tomorrow up. And I will be doing some flying. Be far flying. As always, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, whatever the usual stuff is. I forgot to check out the subscriber statistics, but whatever. If you watch this on the VOD, be sure to go join all the different channels, Discord, whatever, or our Twitter to be updated whenever we are live. And we'll see you next time.
Behind
Bye.
the scenes.
Bye bye everyone.
Bye.